Hello and welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Dr. Donald Pelto, and today we are interviewing Mr. and Dr. Hal Ornstein. Hal, thank you for coming to the program today.
Well, Mister's fine because you know what? The doctor is just the title I have, and it's all about who you are inside, not your title.
You know, I think that's great, Hal. So I've known Dr. Ornstein, or Hal, for a number of years. I think it's been over 10 or 15 years now. And you are a podiatrist in New Jersey, but we're going to talk a little bit today about kind of mindset and skills to make really anyone successful in life. I think that would be some good things. I think you have a lot of wisdom to share with people, Hal. So let's start here. I want to ask you first. This first question I'm going to put up here. What are you passionate about, and what excites you?
Well, people excite me. You know, I've always had a passion for people since I was a young kid. I've always been in relationships and clubs and other things where I was working with people. So I actually developed a personal mission statement. You know, it's funny, I do, one of my life's hints is to read. And even if you read 5 pages a day, you're almost reading 10 books a year, which is amazing. The average college graduate reads 1 book. Reading has totally changed my life. It's funny because upon my travels, which was vast, I meet a lot of people on planes, and some of the initial questions are, "What books have you read? What's your favorite book?" And that's one of my life's hints. So the passion becomes, what can I do to help others while I do things to make myself feel good? Because if I don't feel good, I can't really be. It's the fuel that drives me forward to help other people.
So
And the more I help other people, the more it fuels my rocket ship. So my personal mission statement is, every day is an opportunity to create and share miles of smiles.
That's great. And so let's talk on a let's say yesterday or the day before. Give me some examples of how you helped people, how you were passionate about helping some people. Give me some examples.
All right, it's a great question. I had a podiatrist contact me now with the virus going on. And we are not going to be focusing on the virus and the negative nature of the virus, because we should worry about the things that we can control and try not to worry about the things that we can't. Yet I'm not naive enough to think that this isn't affecting everybody. So that's part of what this show is about, is how to think and how to get through tough times, how to get a mindset to deal with the devil of evil times that may try to get into our mind and play with us with mental health.
Yeah.
You know, people don't talk about mental health enough and how people are feeling and the spiritual nature of things. So it's nice to see people slow down, spend time with their family, and look inward, because sometimes we're afraid to look in a mirror.
Yeah. So for those that are going through this time right now, that we all are, and you said you're a big advocate of recommending books. Is there, in your history of books, that you would recommend just one book that someone would find some benefit reading at this time that we're living?
It's funny you ask that, because when I said books, I said I should really talk about what a good book is. The Present is very good. I forget the author, but I like books that are like 100 pages with big letters and pictures that you can read quickly, because people don't have a lot of time. Even if you spend 5 minutes a day and read those 5 pages, be a life changer. But the book by Napoleon Hill, it's interesting because we have some great inspirational people like Anthony Robbins, people like that. But when you look at the history of inspirational speakers, the godfather is Napoleon Hill, all the way back from 1939, and he has 17 principles. And if you look at those principles, things have really never changed. They've just been repackaged. So I'd highly recommend to people, Think and Grow Rich. And if you don't like, you know, put it on your iPhone, listen in the car, do what you need to do, because that can significantly change your life. And it's a kind of book you want to pick up once a year and kind of take notes as you read it the first time, and then reread the notes once a year. And it really becomes a foundation for living.
Now, that's a great question, or a great comment, Hal. Rereading a book, isn't the book the same? Why when you reread it again, is it any better?
Because we're in information overload, right? So what we are what we think, we are what we eat, right? So we have to think in a positive nature, and how do we keep fueling that and not letting the negative get in our way. Right now, we're definitely on information overload. So when you read a book, it's easy enough to forget the principles in a book and not practice them.
And so in terms of, let's say someone who's listening to this, they want to learn a good approach to incorporate a new principle, maybe positivity, or even just reading 5 minutes a day. What are some tips for developing new, good, beneficial habits in your life? Can you do a lot of habits at once? Should you do one at a time? What's the best way of changing habits?
I think an actual written to-do list is really fantastic, and it could be on your phone. I like paper. There are studies that show every time you check off something on your to-do list, there is an endorphin rush, an adrenaline rush that feeds you. So that is a very good way to do it. Making appointments with yourself. I learned a lot from the book Eat That Frog, which are 21 principles for time management. And really, the only thing we can't replace in life, we could replace money, we could replace a lot, we can't replace time. So that book, Eat That Frog, is just really, really taught me incredible principles. Like, first thing in the morning is do the thing that you want to do the least throughout the day. And it actually starts you off on a positive foot, because all day you're going to be thinking of that negative thing that you need to do that is really not negative. It's just something you don't really want to do. So that's why the concept that no one wants to eat a frog, and that's where the book name came from.
Now, Hal, have you always been interested in this? I don't know what we call it, personal improvement or self-help. Ever since you were young? Is it something that you did in college and in podiatry school? When did you get involved, and what were you like even before this?
Well, I was very, very, very blessed with parents. I had a mother with the biggest heart in the world, and my father, who was a traveling salesman, who taught me to gift the gab. And he taught me it's all about people. Life is literally all about people. And, you've known me. I've mentored you. I've helped you. I knew you when you were in your diapers, more or less, your podiatric diapers. And you know that every time I have an opportunity to help somebody, or they have a question, or they're not feeling good, I'm blessed with something that when people talk to me, they feel better. So I use that, and I've been given that gift since I was a child. So even in high school, I was involved with service organizations. When I was in podiatry school, student national president. And then I got involved with practice management probably 5 years ago, lecturing over 500 times around the country, writing books, not motivated by money. It was not a money-making thing. It was helping people. So again, it gets back to every day an opportunity to create and share miles of smiles. Even when I go for gas, I keep scratch-off lottery tickets. And you would not believe things that you can do. I keep candy in my trunk. So if I go to a gas station, I'll give them a scratch-off lottery ticket and a little candy from my trunk. If I go through a drive-through, I'll give them a scratch-off lottery ticket. I buy pens in bulk, and when I go into a restaurant, I'll give waitresses or waiters pens. And it's amazing if you talk about, principles and really what we could derive from the show. If you really want to feel better about yourself and you want to grow and have happiness, and happiness is defined by whatever you want it to be, it's giving to people. And it's an adrenaline rush. And we're so busy. The problem is we're on our phone and we lose these opportunities. I want to call them, point of contact opportunities for people, because we're so focused on social media and this and that we forget that there's people around us. There's so many lonely people, so much mental illness, and so much you can do to help people, that if you just slow down a little bit, and really you get back to, principles, that to-do list is, again, what can I do today? What's the one phone call I can make? What's the one text I can send? For a while, I was sending one card a day to somebody. How about once a week, you mail, even if it's a piece of paper, just to anybody. It could be a cousin, a relative, an elderly person. So getting back to what I did the last couple of days with the virus right now, I'm volunteering with the medical corps for our county, and I'm calling people who have the virus, and I'm doing a questionnaire, about a half an hour questionnaire, so they can trace and track it. There's a group called Caregivers. So I just adopted 2 seniors that I talk to once a week. And you wouldn't believe both of them. They're very, very good conversationalists. But they said, I'm glad you called because I'm lonely. So I guess the question to ask yourself, or not you, but just in general watching the show is, what are the little things that I can do to help others? Because ultimately you're helping yourself and you're again, putting fuel into your happiness rocket.
That's great, Hal. That's great. I think especially in this time, and it seems like these aspects of giving and helping, from what I hear what you're saying is this is something you can practice and get better at. Let's say people are uncomfortable doing it. You can practice one thing today, one tomorrow, and something that you can get better at for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. You know, it's the best way to eat an elephant, right? You know the best way?
A piece at a time.
One bite at a time. Absolutely. And that's the problem, even when we have big projects. You know, the best way to start a journey is your first step. The best way to read a book is read the first page, and then you'll get to the second and the third, and before you know it, you're done with the book. And that's what we need to do, is we need to exercise those little bites that don't overwhelm us, because that's the problem we get. It's like a vast number of people. I do a lot of lecturing now on health and wellness, and I talk about actual wealth. And the problem is people get paralysis by analysis. They keep overthinking it. Well, I don't have time to volunteer 3 weeks at the Boy Scouts or the big brother, big sister. So I can't do things. But what are the little things you can do? Can you take someone's carriage back when you turn around at a grocery store? If there's a carriage in a parking lot, can you take it back? Do you always stop at a door and hold it open? Every person you pass, you say, how are you doing today? I like to walk every day. Everybody who passes, I'll give them a little wave. And it makes them feel good. It makes, especially right now, isolation and loneliness, it's a great opportunity. Anything we can do to help others is definitely going to help ourselves, because we all have a feeling of isolation. So I'm so happy to do your show here.
That's great. And Al, you've talked about, I think, something that's very key to a lot of people watching, the idea of how do you, just let's go into detail. If you have a goal, let's talk about goals and how to break down one of these big audacious goals into little things you can do every day. Do you recommend paper? Do you recommend getting a accountability partner? What do you recommend for breaking down? Let's just pick a big goal maybe that you've done, or someone that's done, and how they broke it down to accomplish it, to eat the frog.
Right. Well, what's writing things down, I believe, versus on your phone, when you write it and you keep writing it, it really becomes a part of the memory in your brain. And it's proven that writing things down are better than putting them into your phone or computer. And have an accountability partner, whether you're losing weight, whether you want to get an MBA or whatever it is, who's watching you, is a brilliant way to do it, Don. I mean, that's a great idea. But again, those big goals, you have to see, it's like in football, you can't reach the goal if you don't see it. So you actually, you want to begin with the end in mind. So whatever your final result is, you want to begin at the beginning, and you want to every day do a little bit and make appointments with yourself. I mean, I like to run. So I'll say, okay, in my calendar, 4:30, I'm going to run. Why do we make appointments to get our nails done, get our hair done, whatever it may be? We don't make appointments for ourselves, and before you know it, the day is done. Mm-hmm. So, goals can drive people crazy. And, with Google, you can Google very simple, just Google simple ways to reach goals, and start learning different techniques that you can do to reach your goal. And it's like at the beginning of the year when we have those, resolution for the year, right? What you're going to do. A vast number of them never happen because they're too big, and people try to do too much and take too big of a bite. So keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. And now, how does this relate? Can you do this? Because some people that are watching this might be doctors or in the healthcare field. With the interaction that you have with your patients in the office, are you able to even help them with? I know you can do nice things for them, but how about having them change their lives and making positive change? Have you had some good experiences with that over the years too?
Absolutely. And you know what? With maturity, I'm 60 years old, and you start to realize and you learn, especially a lot to do with illness, because people People, there's just an epidemic of rheumatoid arthritis, right? Psoriatic arthritis, these immunocompromised diseases. And where are they coming from? So coaching people on eating, right? The doctors don't talk about eating. Sugar is one of the most evil things that we could put into our body. And somebody really smart said to me once, food is medicine. So what you put in your body, anything you put in your body, every bite that you take is medicine. So I'll coach a lot of them who are sick on cutting back on breads, pastas, sugars, things like that, because research after research is now proving the evil nature of sugar. But to eat our vegetables. And the simplest one is water. Water, drinking water. That's why you see me drinking as we talk. Half your body, I would advise half your body weight. So if you're 150 pounds, do 75 ounces of water a day, because that's an easy thing to do. Again, we have to keep it simple. And people, I find, and I learned this from my son, I'll buy the reusable water bottles. I have 3 of them. And I keep them full every place that I go throughout the house or the office, because if I don't see it, I don't think to drink in the car. And it's that's how I keep up with it. So I'll coach a lot of people on eating now in the office. And I think in the medical field, we need to do more of that, and we don't. And especially from psychological, mental, depression, things like that, don't really focus on how important a diet is. And I know with the amount of mental illness that we have these days, especially now with depression and anxiety creeping in with the virus, that what we eat, our sleep, our water, exercise. Let's talk exercise.
Good.
Everybody thinks you need to hit the gym, you need to go there an hour a day. You know what? If I had everybody walk 20 minutes every other day, I'd be happy. Because that little amount of exercise is proven to make a significant difference. We have vitamin D deficiency from the sunlight. So just getting out to walk makes a significant difference. So again, it's the little things. We're so programmed that, first of all, who has time to do all this? That's the problem. It's like trying to save money. You know, pay yourself first. I could tell you, as somebody 60 who started early saving, it's amazing when you put a little money away, $25 when you're 35 and you leave it alone, what it turns into when you're 60. So what you put in your mind, what you put in your pocketbook, and what you put in your body, it's the main message. Will show up 20 years later. The amount of type 2 diabetes now is a severe epidemic. And it's related to lack of exercise, it's stress, and again, the type of food that we eat. So planning, let's plan to eat. I'll take Tupperware with my food for lunch instead of saying, you know what, I only have 5 minutes to eat. Let's go to Burger King and let's get a hamburger. So it's planning your life and writing it down, as I said before, even with your goals. And then write your goal down, and then go back to the book each day and say, what did I do towards my goal? And beat yourself up, because if you didn't do anything, that's okay, because you can't do it all. You just try your best, you do your best, and that's what it's about.
That's great. Now, you've mentioned a few times, Hal, about the issue with mental illness and I guess depression and anxiety. I know certainly hydration you talked about, nutrition, sleep. What are some of the best tips that you have for people? Do you know other people with mental illnesses, and have they done well with some of these tips for changing their lives?
Yeah, I've of course, if it gets severe with depression, you see a psychiatrist, they put you on medication, etc. We all see enough commercials on television regarding that. But if we look at mindfulness, meditating has proven 5 minutes of meditation a day has significantly improved people's lives and helps with anxiety and depression. The exercise, the diet, the water, vitamins, interacting with people, acts of kindness, right? Acts of kindness will fuel this and actually reduce mental illness. So I mention it because it's a serious problem that doctors don't address, and I address it with my patients. And, sometimes traditional medicine doesn't help. So I'm a believer in alternative medicine, whether it be acupuncture, whether it be a naturopath, whether it be a homeopath. Look at every option when you're sick other than sometimes traditional medicine. And we all know the value of that. Hey, listen, you and I we do surgery, we give medication. We are traditional medicine doctors, but a lot of times this alternate type of stuff really can make a difference. Yoga is proven to reduce stress. I actually own a nonprofit yoga studio, so we fund it so people can go there who can't afford it, and it's a very active studio. You wouldn't believe the muscles of these yogis, and they don't even work out other than doing yoga, but they seem to all be happy. You know, they're very happy, they're not stressed, and they have control of their life.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, who's controlling your life? Is it somebody else? You know, you're responsible for your own life. You're responsible for your own destiny. And we're in a society that we love to blame people. Just watch television for an hour and there's a 1-800-lawyer commercial, right? And we need to take personal responsibility for our health, whether it be mental, physical, spiritual, and do these little things that will make a difference. And again, we can talk here about the concepts of these, but if we don't talk about things to do, right? Google mindfulness, small steps to increase your mindfulness can make a significant difference.
Mm-hmm. Now, Hal, one question I like to ask people. You're 60, you're a few years older than I am. If you look back when you were 30, if you look back 30 years, and if you could kind of go back, rewind 30 years ago, what advice would you tell yourself?
I would spend more time alone, looking in the mirror, thinking about myself. At that point, I was so busy that I never really had a time to grow emotionally. You know, so that's a lot that I learned as I got older is emotional growth.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what do we work for? A bigger house, bigger cars, things, right? My house is full of things. I would love to get rid of half the things. And that's what I would focus on in the 30s instead of focusing on myself. I would have done more yoga. I would have swam. I would have walked every day. I surely would have ate better, right? I mean, eating's pretty simple. You take a plate, you divide it in half, vegetable, some type of vegetable, then grain on the other quarter, quinoa, black rice, and the other is protein, whether it be eggs. And you know what? Some people like steak. You know, you could be a fan of steak or not. It could be pork, whatever it may be. And doing those things early on, I think would have made me an even better me. I love myself now, but I think I would have loved myself even more and been a better vehicle to help people and been a better beacon to help people and a guidepost if I did those things. I would have saved more money. One of the best exercises that I think people could do is write down for a month every bit of food you put in your mouth and every penny that you spend, and especially teaching your children to do this. And you'll be amazed what you put in your mouth and what you spend and not put in savings. The power of time is unbelievable when it comes to investment, personal, professional, and financial. Just amazing. But you can't go back. I have so many people at my age who said, I wish I did. I wish I did. And you know what? This is the message for younger people is have that foundation, that financial foundation, that physical foundation, the spiritual foundation. And, you know, Google, what does spiritual mean? It doesn't mean you have to, it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do who you are inside and what your philosophies are and how you treat yourself and how you treat others.
You know, those are some great words of wisdom. Now, I know everyone that's watching the show is probably looking behind you and they're seeing the scarecrow, they're seeing the lion, the Wizard of Oz. So tell me a little bit about that. There must be a reason why that's in either your home or your office.
Okay, now you got me excited because that's my love, and I'll explain why it's my love. I had somebody buy me a plate in my office probably 25 years ago, a Wizard of Oz plate, and I put it up and everybody kept talking about it. And I wanted a design in my office. I wanted my office to feel like somebody's living room. When you come into the office, so many offices are poorly painted, right? They're dark. You know, you feel like you're in a doctor's office. I wanted people to feel like they were at home. So I started decorating with Wizard of Oz. And 15 years ago, when I rebuilt my office, I spent a bundle of money creating a serious Wizard of Oz theme. So if you look, my hallway to the treatment rooms is a yellow brick road. Every treatment room's a different character. So the Dorothy room has gingham wallpaper, you know, like her blue dress with the plaids on it. The Scarecrow room, it looks like it's straw wallpaper, right? The Tin Man room looks like metal wallpaper. It's just amazing. People talk about it all the time, and they said, "What's your fashion? What's your real fascination?" I happen to be home, and if you look at that, I had an artist come in, and we took my living room and my dining room, and we took the wall away. And we had an artist spend 3 months to tell the story of the Wizard of Oz. So if I look around, I see approximately 20 little mini murals.
Wow.
Tell the story. So it has scenes from each. So you can see in the Wizard of Oz when it started at the yellow brick road, right? Well, actually here we're going towards the end when she clicks her shoes and then she ends up in Oz. But what I love about the Wizard of Oz the most is it really reflects and tells the story and translates over to what life is about. So if you look at the movie and really the theme of the movie, the witch, and if you've ever seen the play Wicked, the Wicked Witch really wasn't wicked. But if you look at it, the Wicked Witch was wicked because she knew that if water got on her, she would melt. So she had to be wicked to get people to stay away from her and never put water on her, because that would do it. And if you look at the Scarecrow, if you look at the decisions throughout the movie, almost all decisions were made by the Scarecrow. Yet he thought he had no brain. So he got a piece of paper, he got a diploma at the young, and then all of a sudden, he thought he was all intelligent. Oh, he's intelligent, he had the same brains the whole time. And this comes back to helping young people believe in themselves, because his lack of believing in himself was the only reason why he thought he had no brain. Once he got that piece of paper, it was just a testament to show, you know what, I really have brain. If you look at the lion, every time there was a situation that, say when the Wicked Witch showed up, he would jump in front of the bullet first. He would always be the protector, yet he said he had no courage until he got that cross and that medal at the end. So the message there is, believe in yourself. We're all so blessed. We're all so gifted in so many ways. And whether it be your upbringing, whether it be culture itself, the media, social media, friends, family, we don't believe in ourselves. And we're all strong beings, and we all have inside of us everything that we want to achieve. You know, and it's like young people said, I can't become a doctor. You could become anything that you want if you believe in yourself. We have the intellect, we have the will, we have the drive, we surely have the resources in the year 2020. But we have that lack of confidence and that lack of belief. And you know what? Prayer. You know what? I didn't start praying until about a year ago, right? Whether you believe in God or not, you can still pray. Pray for the things that you want to get and your appreciation. Gratitude. Gratitude is one of the biggest drivers of success. We lack that appreciation for what we have in the 21st century, right? We don't appreciate just so much around us and saying thank you. I'll sign a lot of emails that say, with gratitude, grateful, thank you so much.
That's great.
Right?
Well, I am grateful to you, Hal, and I think this is a good parting time. Our time is up here, and I'm grateful for you to be present, and I think there's a lot of words of wisdom. And for those that are watching, this is Hal Ornstein. He's a podiatrist in New Jersey. Thank you so much, Hal, for being on the show.
My great pleasure. Blessings.